National Dairy Month.
It is the voice of Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM and AM 1160. Good morning to you. You know, many years ago, I decided we were going to do some school reports. We were going to try to get our schools on once a month to talk about issues going on within the school, let the folks know what's going on with their very own schools. And so I got in touch with all of the different school districts in Indiana County, and the very first school guest that we had here on Indiana in the Morning, we were even over in the other studio, was Daren Johnston, the superintendent of the Penns Manor School District, who at the time, I believe, Daren, you were just the high school principal at that time, weren't you?
I was at that time.
Yeah.
Correct.
But you were the first. How about that?
Well, I didn't know that.
Let's hope that you're not the last.
That's right.
He is now the superintendent of the Penns Manor School District. School board met last night. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Doing
well, thanks.
Is there a certain amount of just a sigh of relief when you get to the end of a school year before you strap it on and get set working on the next year?
There is. It gives us a little bit of relief. However, we wrap up a school year and we begin the next because our administrative staff and secretarial staff all remain here. So it is a little relief, but we also know we have to close up a year and begin a new one.
Yeah, there's a lot of work that goes on over the summer, and I think folks would be surprised how active a school campus is even in the summer months. There are still kids there, of course. Band camps get underway and special things are going on. There are sports things happening as well. Summer schools. And meanwhile, the behind-the-scenes work of preparing for the next academic year, that's not an easy thing to get all done.
It is not. It is not. So things that we have going on yet, even though we've closed the year, we have our extended school year program that the students are still coming to our building. Those are students that we have determined in our special education program that they still need to maintain academic studies throughout the summer. So we are continuing with those. We also have a credit recovery program going on currently at our high school where we're allowing our students to come back in, recover from any loss of credits that they may have not passed during the past school year. Mm-hmm. So we do. Academic-wise, we have students and teachers still here with us. In August, the elementary, we have an enrollment of, at this point, 88 students that will come back in for 2 weeks in August before school starts. And again, that will all be academic instruction. And also throughout the entire summer, as you indicated, all of our sports teams still use our facility, along with our marching band, will be here throughout the summer.
And as an administrator, of course, you are walking that budget tightrope right now. Don't know yet what the state subsidy will be, but you probably have a pretty good idea of what that will be like. Now, budget was up last night, but because of a technicality, you couldn't really vote on a budget last night, could you?
That's true. So we were planning from our work session last week to approve our final budget. Our final budget will not be changed, even though we postponed it. That's a fault of mine, not counting out 30 days from when we approved the proposed budget. But our final budget will be on the agenda for our special voting meeting on June 22nd. And again, there's no changes to that budget. We have a deficit at this point of $336,000. There will be no increase in property tax, but we will use fund balance to balance that. But again, when we planned our budget, we did not factor in any increase from the state. So we're currently sitting at $336,000 deficit, but again, we did not factor in any increase from the Department of Ed at this point.
Yeah, let's hope that the state can help to close that gap in a major way. Were there surprises in budget preparations this year? Were there expenses that you didn't anticipate?
No, it's general operating budget for this year. There was nothing that was unexpectedly popped up. We knew what was coming at us. It's just the factor of when we look at increasing the contracts of all of our employees, including administration. Probably one surprising factor is, and that's going across to everything. Everybody's even seeing that at the gas pump today. All of our vendors, we're seeing an increase So our cost will go up. And I'm hoping we budgeted well, but as I see the percent increases on everything across the board, it does scare me a bit.
Yeah, it scares everybody. We're going to have Philip Martell from River Valley on with us in our next hour, and Michael Vukovich from Indiana area is scheduled with us next week, because I want to ask all of you who are in the leadership position within the school districts. School security has become such, again, a forefront issue. Of course, the situation in Texas, but really the situation of the last 5 or 10 years, the amount of school threats, school violence, the various things are out there. And we know that schools are taking extra steps in terms of security, how to allow people into the building. I know that at Penn's Manor, you've instituted in the last 10 years or so new entrances at the schools. School security is so important. And you met yesterday at Aaron, I know a bunch of the superintendents, maybe all of them. Does that come up? Is that something that becomes a shared issue where you're batting ideas around to find out how can we take another step in addition to what we've done in order to keep students safe?
Absolutely. And actually it was a discussion yesterday at our superintendent's meeting at Aaron IU. Just concern and conversation sharing back and forth. Each of us went through and discussed what we currently are doing just to see if there are new ideas. I know there's always room for improvement when it comes to safety, but as you had mentioned, in the past 5 years, we've done a tremendous change in our district. We've increased our security cameras to a tune of 130 cameras throughout our school district that we can see live and recordings throughout the entire district. As you had mentioned, we have placed in front of every single one of our 3 entrances, main entrances, a holding entrance, so to speak, where you have to buzz in, identify yourself with a driver's license if you're visiting, and then a badge is printed out. At the same time, what we're doing is when we're scanning the license, we're actually doing a trace indication to see if there's anything that we need to be alerted on the individual coming in, and then we print out a badge for that visitor to come in. A couple other things that we do. We do the ALICE initiative here in our building, which is a training that we have all of our employees do online. We in turn then educate our students at the beginning of every school year of the process that we will use for evacuation purposes. So we go through a number of scenarios throughout the year. We also have updated all of our locks, and we have a second locking device on all of our classroom doors. So we have, in the past 5 years, put a lot of different procedures in place and also equipment. But again, we just discussed it last night at our board meeting afterwards that we need to sit down, before the next month and just review all of our procedures, review all of our entrances, and just take a look again to remind ourselves that we should be looking every day and in every aspect of our building and see where our weaknesses are and see if we can even address some other things before we start officially back up in August.
Yeah, those are necessary discussions, and every school district must have them, and it's good to know that that's happening at Penn's Manor as well as our other school districts. I know that you'd rather be talking about, what's the newest in education initiatives out there? What are the great new innovations? And I'm sure that you do keep your eye on those things like as a new school year approaches. And Penn's Manor is certainly looking for ways that will keep the students engaged, not only during the school day, but afterwards as well. It's really an interesting industry, isn't it?
It is. And what we're doing is structure-wise to administrative-wise that you can, if anyone watched the last board meeting last evening, that we will be searching for an assistant principal within the next few weeks.
I saw that.
And we're changing from a director of education. We're going to allow our 2 principals to take on the academic roles in each building, more so than they have in the past. Also, both of them continuing the MTSS structure that we have in both buildings. And then we're going to ask that assistant principal to be our person that's always out and about, addressing attendance and disciplinary infractions, heaven forbid if we have them. So we're changing up our administration structure a little bit, too, for August.
Yeah, absolutely. You just, whatever the progression is in order to move the school district forward. All right, so the summer's coming along. Do you ever get a chance to take a break in the summertime? Do you get some time off?
Absolutely. We take a little bit of time off, but I do want to, if I can, Todd, I just want to do a couple shout-outs for a few folks as we finished up the year.
Sure.
Particularly our class of 2022. We are the smallest school district in the county. We graduated 58 students. Two of those students, Riley Hill and Grant Grimaldi, when they graduated with their high school diploma, they also left us with their associate's degree because they completed college credits here in the high school. So I have to say hats off to them for challenging themselves, along with our faculty who's willing to work and provide that opportunity for students. Two other students that I have to give shout-outs, and you've all done a tremendous job, but I just want to say once again to Justin Marshall, who placed fourth in the 100-meter dash at districts, and then went on to states, and along with Alex Polenic, who placed first in discus and seventh in shot put, and also went on to states. And the good thing, both of those gentlemen will be back. Justin's a junior, going to a senior, and Alex is going from being a freshman to a sophomore next year, so they'll still have the opportunity to advance on. So I just want to congratulate all of those students.
Still going to be Comets for another year.
Absolutely.
Daren Johnston, thanks so much for visiting with us this morning. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Have
Anytime.
a great.
I appreciate your support.
Have a great summer.
Hey, you the same.
It is the voice of Indiana County WCCS.